Hello, good afternoon. How's everybody doing out there? Hope you're doing great. Hope you're having a great day, a great time here. Okay, lot to talk about. Now, I've got some stuff going on my end. I'm probably going to not be able to do a show tomorrow, maybe Saturday or Sunday. We'll see. So I wanted to get a show in today. We have a lot to talk about today. Lots going on. And I want to preface this on a couple of things. First of all, this is not like whom I like, and I'm not like taking sides here or anything. I'm a political expert, in my opinion, right? Everything I say is all my personal opinion on, not alleging any facts, not casting any aspersions, all for entertainment purpose only. This is analysis. What I see going on, what I think is happening right now, okay? And it dovetails with what I've been saying, right? And look, right now we have some new information, so let's just update it right now. New Fox News poll, and you can check this out on the Fox News website, I believe, or Real Clear Politics. If we go to Real Clear Politics polls right here, and you look at Fox News, the latest Fox News poll that just dropped, and it's very interesting. This is coming from Fox News, right? 30-point differential. This is taken on March 24th through March 27th, and this is registered voters is the sample. And you've got Trump at 54, DeSantis at 24. Trump plus 20. Vice President Pence at 6%. Governor Haley at 3%. Representative Congresswoman Cheney at 3%. Governor Nome at 1%. A little bit before that, Quinnipiac has just dropped, and they showed Trump at 47, DeSantis at 33, Trump plus 14. A Harris poll. Harvard Harris poll, right? I believe that's a Harvard Harris poll. And that was March 22nd, March 23rd. Registered voters, Trump at 50, DeSantis at 24, Trump plus 26. So what we're seeing now, if you combine all these recent polls, right, the last couple months here, I'd say the February, March polls, you're looking at basically, let's just call it a month and a half time period, thereabouts. Trump at plus 16.8. This is Real Clear Politics. I will link to it in the video description on YouTube. And so, really this is kind of where it's been more or less. You had a big boost for DeSantis, and understandably so, around the election time of the midterm elections, where Governor DeSantis really did well, very strong. But now you're seeing Trump going back up, DeSantis kind of like hitting at least temporary plateau, temporary ceiling, maybe going back down a little bit. But there's more to that. There's more things going on than that, right? And then, hey, what's going on? Lithuania, good to see you. There's more going on than that. And again, I want to get into the analysis here because I've run campaigns. I've been involved in politics all my life. I'm undergraduate from political science at Berkeley, law school at Berkeley, political expert, been in media. I've been around this for a long, long time. What's going on? Oh, from Aruba, Jackie, what's going on? Hey, Jackie, side note, this is not political. We may or may not do a video with Janair. We'll see. We're sort of working on that. But she definitely appreciates your comments. We appreciate everyone in Aruba. Aruba, it's fantastic, in my opinion. We had a great time there. And Jackie and the team at Setar are absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. Great. And we've got videos up about our trip to Aruba, and we'll have more coming on that. So appreciate that, Jackie. Okay, so what I'm talking about is this. Let's get back to the political thing here. Thanks for the sidebar there on the politics. Look, I don't want to get into the back and forth here. I'm gonna throw a couple news stories on the table because they're there. And then I'm going to kind of show you what the strategic overview is here. So, I mean, the thing is I've talked to people that, how do I say this? You have to know what you're good at and you have to know what you're not good at, right? And it's funny because I was having this conversation the other night, actually, with a good friend of mine. And we'll leave that for later. But, to me, okay, a little bit of a side note. Never discount what you're good at. If you're good at something and I don't believe in like being humble or anything like that. At the same time, well, I do and I don't. And that's a whole different thing. It's like, now I've got my one foot in this. So let me finish this thought. Look, I'm all for being humble, right? I mean, listen, we're all mortal. If you believe in God and stuff like that, then or if you believe in the universe, whatever you believe in, right? You understand that, you're really not in control. You're really minuscule compared to everything and God or the universal, whatever you want to say that about that. I mean, we believe in, we are religious. We believe in God, and my family. And so, but at the same time, like never discount what you're good at. If you're good at something, then you're good at something, and make sure you get what you're worth and all that. But it's the same conversation as this political conversation, which is, you have to understand what the reality of it is. And here's what I mean by that. Actually, let me start with the strategic first, since I burned a little time there, because it'll make more sense. And then we'll get to some of the news stories about the Disney stuff. And then Governor DeSantis made a speech about Silicon Valley Bank. Well, not what he said. He had comments about that in the other speech. And President Trump had some recent comments. So we'll get into all that. Here's the strategic framework. I mean, the polls are cooling for DeSantis. Trump is gaining strength. And that could be because he's in the news, maybe the whole thing of New York, and maybe it's Republicans coalescing around him. But basically the sort of thesis for DeSantis is nice. Absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. Absolutely. And then let me get some of these comments here real quick. Yeah, brother, Battlefield Bad Company. I know. I wish those were still up. Those were like the best. I was like, oh man. I was like, oh wow. That was good. We did good there. I'll get back to that. Thank you. Appreciate you out there. Appreciate all the viewers out there. It's like this. What is the rationale for DeSantis' presidency? And I don't want to say that. That's not quite right. First of all, great governor. Love him. Tremendous governor. Thank you, Governor DeSantis. That's what I'm saying. I'm not like, back and forth. Governor DeSantis has been a phenomenal governor here in Florida. A lot of people think that, all right? Absolutely. But the support for Trump nationally is much, much bigger. And we're seeing that in the polls. And that just makes rational sense, right? Like if you're a Republican voter or just a general election voter in New Hampshire or Iowa, you don't know Governor DeSantis. Not really. Not most people. Not like President Trump. Everybody knows President Trump is a global name. So what I'm saying by that is there's a bunch of things I have to unpack here, and it'll make way more sense. So stay with me on that. You got to stay with me on this if you want to really understand it, in my opinion. The idea that I've seen some things out there like, hey, well, before it was like, Trump can't win. Both things can't be true. You can't say Trump can't win and he's got the negatives and all this. But hey, it's so early right now. And like, hey, Rudy Giuliani was there back there. Here's the difference between Mayor Giuliani. Mayor Giuliani, yes, he had, he was, fairly well known, but he was a mayor of a big city. The biggest city, but he was a mayor of a big, that's different than, in other words, the fluctuation and the name ID and the polls of Mayor Giuliani is very different than President Trump. Whom out there doesn't know about President Trump? Whom out there of a voter who's going to vote, particularly in a GOP primary, doesn't know of President Trump, who was the last Republican president? So therefore, President Trump's polls are not going to move that much. So let me cut to the end of the story here, right? I do not today see a way for Governor DeSantis to beat President Trump in a GOP primary. And I love the way the insiders and the country club, set in on the Republican side, talk about the general and the independents. You don't get to the general without getting through the primary, right? So I don't see a way for Governor DeSantis today to beat President Trump, barring President Trump being basically disqualified with whatever this, all these different legal things. I don't see how that works. Show me how that works. Show me how you're going to get there. I don't see it. The book launch hasn't worked. The different interviews haven't worked in the polls. It's gone the reverse. And the word out there, some donors might be getting nervous potentially if you believe some of these reports out there. And, there's a lot of people that are like, fingers in the wind, right? And politically and potentially, particularly when it comes to donations and stuff like that. And this is no knock on DeSantis. This isn't about anything like that. Does Trump have positives and negatives? Absolutely. Does this Governor DeSantis have positives? Every candidate does, right? So I think I think the variability for Governor DeSantis is much higher than President Trump. So Governor DeSantis might go up, Governor DeSantis might go down, right? I mean, we don't know that yet. And yes, I get it. I get this Governor DeSantis' team and the people here in Florida and the people that know him. And look, he's from the area that I'm, around the area that I'm living in now and stuff like that. And he's a very popular governor. I'm so appreciative of Governor DeSantis. And this is no knock on him. I just wanted to be very, very clear. It's the same thing. Like when I talk about Miami Tech and stuff like that, like Mayor Suarez and the team, I really applaud what they tried to do. So, I mean, don't get it confused, right? I mean, I've met him. He took a picture of me. He was very gracious to me and stuff like that. And, but I've had my discussions and criticism of that. But I had a lot of suggestions and critiques of how it was executed. And the political analysis that I felt was coming from that team about how you're going to take that and now launch to a national stage, and how you kind of punked out Governor DeSantis, in my opinion, kind of punked out President Trump. And I didn't think that was really smart. And I didn't think it was smart to just say, hey, Tech, because Tech had been leaning super left wing. And we've seen that in the Twitter files and other things. And I just didn't think that it really was, that it could have been done much better. But there was a lot of successes there, and I see a lot of the good things there. And I think it's the same thing. It's just because I'm critiquing something and say, hey, I think this is how things could be better, doesn't mean I'm like against the effort or against anyone or that. So that's what I'm trying to say. People have to really be thoughtful of this. So here's the idea. The idea that somehow President Trump is somehow going to go away, or that President Trump can't say anything negative about DeSantis. Like, first of all, I put the quote unquote DeSantis versus Trump because Governor DeSantis hasn't announced yet. Like, he hasn't announced yet. So he's not running. He's running, but he's not. Is he running? It seems like he's running. I expect he's going to run. I absolutely expect he's going to run, but he hasn't announced yet. Right? And Congressperson Donald said that. He's great. I love that dude. And Congressperson Matt Gaetz has done some great things. And Gaetz, I think Gaetz, Congressperson Gaetz, Congressperson Jim Jordan have come out in support of Trump, I believe. And so you have to say to yourself, what changes Trump's support? It's very, solidified. It doesn't make sense. What's the theory? I mean, tell me a logical theory. Oh, you got to win the independents, and that's good. You may believe that. You may think that could be true, but that also begs to another question. Puts up another point, which is whomever wins. Here's my position, right? Listen, Governor DeSantis wants to run. He's got something. He's got a record to run on. He's got a story to tell. Tell it. Get out there. Do whatever you're going to do. And I did see that. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you being there for us. We were nothing without the viewers and the subscribers and the audience out there. Absolutely. And there's a lot that I'm working on. I'll be able to hopefully talk to you soon. I might be back on the air soon on radio, where there's a lot of things that I've been in the works. I've been working really hard, and I've got to juggle a lot of things at the time. So if you look at this thing, and you have to bear with me because, super genius, don't like the way my mind works. But if you stay with me, I can't go long here. We're at the 13 minute mark, 30 minutes, absolute top. But if you listen to this, even if you're in the background, I think you're going to have a better handle on this, because I know a lot of people that are very smart, very successful, and they think they have it figured out. Oh, Governor DeSantis. I would listen to this and then see where you want to be at, because you have to understand the state of play. Like, I can't sit here and impose what I want on the Democratic Party. They're going to nominate who they're going to nominate. And I think it's sort of a somewhat similar analysis. You may want a Governor Newsom. Actually, that's maybe a somewhat perfect analogy or a useful analogy. There's a lot of people in the Democratic Party that maybe want a Governor Newsom, or they want a representative AOC. I'm just throwing names out there, whatever, or Senator Sanders or whomever. But let's say you want a Governor Newsom, and you may want that. You may say that might be the future of the Democratic Party. I'm just making something up now. I'm speculating. I have no idea. But if President Biden decides he's going to run, which he's basically saying he's going to run, how do you stop him? What is the theory that you're going to do to stop President Biden from running? How are you going to win the primary over a sitting president? I don't think you can, barring something cataclysmic. Like, how does that work? Tell me how that works. And if you're on the Democratic side, and you admit, like, Yeah, that's probably right. Or you wanted Vice President Harris or whomever it is. I don't know. Make up the name. Doesn't matter on that side. How do you displace a President Biden? And I don't think you can. I don't think it's possible. I think it's going to be President Biden, and at this point, most likely President Trump. I think we're replaying it. We're running back again. Today. Now, that doesn't mean if Governor DeSantis wants to run, that's cool, and we'll talk about that. But show me the theory. So the idea that you're going to do the high-low, like Governor DeSantis is going to be cool, but then the surrogate's going to be out there, and the opinion and the influencers are going to hit President Trump, and he was great, and we love his policies, but he's the chaos candidate. We love Trump was great, but his time has passed. Trump is great. It's not going to work politically. I do not see how that works, because here's why. Number one, he has bigger name ID, and I don't think you move that. Number two, Governor DeSantis hasn't been fully nationally vetted to a presidential level. I'm not being a punk. I'm just being real, right? It's different level of standards. And again, we saw this where you had Senator McCain that was on all the Sunday shows and the media loved him until he got the Republican nomination. Then it was different. Then things changed. Or Governor Romney, right? Now Senator Romney. Okay, yeah, he was Bain Capital, Harvard, all this stuff. Yeah, it was great. And then he got the nomination. Then all of a sudden we're talking about dogs on the roof of whatever they were saying about the dog, and biners full of women, and all this all this stuff. And first of all, I'm not alleging anything, not catching aspersions. I don't know. This is my paraphrase, my opinion, a recollection of what I thought I remembered back then, or anything like that. And I love animals and all that. And I'm just trying to. So I'm not making any factual claims. I'm just saying that whomever the Republican, this is the point. This is one of the points. Whomever the Republican nominee is going to be, they're going to get all kinds of heat from the left-wing media. Let's be very clear, and the Democrats. Let's be very clear about that. So maybe President Trump, kind of gets in there and has some sharp elbows, or, says some stuff that maybe you don't like. But there's some people that love it, right? Because let's be very clear. There is no way we're doing we may want it, but the idea that somehow you're going to be able to waltz into the nomination and waltz into the presidency, and we're going to be able to use the Marquess of Queensberry's rules, if to use an analogy, or the Harvard Club, or all that type of stuff. No, dude, no. Whomever the nominee is, whether it's Governor Nome, Governor Haley, Vice President Pence, Governor Christie, Governor DeSantis, President Trump, it's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough. Let's be very clear. And Trump's not going. Does anybody think that Trump's really going full blast on DeSantis right now? Does anybody think that? Please, if you think that, I might have a few bridges for you. So if Governor DeSantis and the team can't handle this level of campaigning, and let's be clear, President Trump has declared himself, and he's in there campaigning. A campaign's a campaign. You can't be mad about a campaign, right? So if Governor DeSantis and the team can't handle this level of campaign and can't handle this back and forth, how are you going to handle the general election? So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, well, it's so early. That it's early both ways. Like, oh, Governor DeSantis is better with independents. We don't know that. We have no idea what's going to happen when who knows what. You think they don't have opposition research on Governor DeSantis? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You think they're not going to have something to say after the Disney thing and a bunch of other stuff? I mean, you think they're not ready for that? Now, see, what I don't like is the sort of weak constitution, the weak stomachs, if you will, on the Republican side. Like, oh, the media says we like President Trump's policies are great. We will, or whomever, candidate X, could be Governor Palin. It could be whomever. Just put it. I mean, there's so many different names we could throw out there. But yeah, the media doesn't like them, so we have to. Why is the media choosing our candidates? Why are the Democrats choosing our candidates? That doesn't make any sense. Listen, I'm all for free markets and stuff like that. If Governor DeSantis wants to run and thinks he can be the better choice and thinks he can make a case and thinks he can win in general, whatever, and has a record, absolutely has a record to run on, phenomenal record to run on in Florida, then do it. But here's the thing, like part of it was Florida was open, and Governor DeSantis' response to the hurricane tragedy, and all the pandemic, all these things. I think a lot of people would say very positive, and thank you, Governor DeSantis. So great. If you think that's your case and your leadership skills, whatever like that, then just go do it and see what happens. But I don't think that we can't say President Trump can't run or shouldn't run or should pass the baton. Like, dude, we're so early for that. Let's see what the voters say. Again, people don't like this idea that like Washington or the media is taking the power away from the voters. The voters will decide. Let's see what happens. Right now, it's not looking great for Governor DeSantis. Now, unfortunately, because of and I had to remind myself, I saw something like, oh yeah, of course, right? In the Constitution, Governor DeSantis cannot be vice president. I believe this is correct. I gotta look at it. But when I read that, when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I think I do remember that. The vice president and the president can't come from the same state. So right now, they're both, Governor DeSantis and President Trump are both from Florida. So he can't be president. And I mean, there's a lot of us here in Florida that, quite frankly, would love to see Governor DeSantis remain as governor. President Trump runs, and then Governor DeSantis runs. I mean, so it's very interesting. I'm not saying Governor DeSantis shouldn't run. I think he's going to run if you have a case over there. And listen, there's nothing. Here's the thing. Nothing wrong with going out there, running, making your case, win, lose, or draw. Maybe he wins. I can't tell you. I don't have an absolute crystal ball. I'm telling you right now, today, this is what I see. Analysis. This is analysis, right? This isn't this team, that team. I'm picking sides. Right now, today, this is what I see, right? If if everyone else is able to run, then Governor DeSantis should certainly be able to run because he's absolutely the clear number 2 in the field. So fine, go ahead, run, whatever. But don't think you're not going to get campaigning from President Trump. You're going to get it. And if President Trump feels like you slighted him because he helped, from what he's saying, make your political career or help keep you alive in politics, you understand that too. And also, your record may come under scrutiny, just like President Trump's record comes under scrutiny, right? But I'm getting a little bit ahead. I'll close on a couple things and some news items here, but I want to put this out there, and this is the key point. And I apologize, we took 22 minutes to sort of set it up, but I had to set it up. Some people feel that things are so bad from freedom of speech, energy prices, inflation, economy, social mobility, haves and have-nots, whatever the income divide, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of different challenges out there. And I'm an optimist. I'm a natural optimist. I feel like, we're going to figure it out. We're going to work it out, and that we eventually continue to make progress. I sort of believe on that, right? That doesn't mean that there aren't challenges and there aren't, things that happen and times that are better than others economically and stuff like that. And I think we're going through a really tough period right now, right? There's a lot of debt. There's a lot of different things out there. And so you say to yourself, like, if things are bad and everyone's affected by this and people are worried, I think I saw a survey, like half the people are worried they're going to lose everything. That's an extreme number. Just sit on that for a second. Half the people surveyed are worried they will lose everything. So if this is true, and if you believe that in that context, do you think people are worried about mean tweets? Do you think people are worried about that kind of stuff? No, absolutely not. And then, people want government that works and government that listens to them and government that's transparent. And if you're worried you're going to lose everything, you want someone that's going to have some solutions. And when President Trump was in there and you said his policies are great, Governor DeSantis has done well because he has, started taking up in my opinion, or has had has done a lot of the policies that President Trump has done or has endorsed or whatever. The similar. The closer DeSantis's policies are to Trump's, the better he does on the Republican side. So people want. It's not even a left-right thing. Like, people want things that work. People want an economy that works. People want to maybe have a job. People want to have safety. People want to have good education for their kids. People want to have be able to drive their cars and stuff. It's just, people want to have a retirement. People want to have Social Security. All these things, like, it's just basics. It's competency. and it's freedom, it's liberty, it's opportunity. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, the history of the world is a history of one person or a small amount of people trying to control everybody else. There hasn't been a lot of constitutional republics out there and democracies out there. We've been doing better, but we have to continue to do better. And it's not even, there's also like market power. I think we have to take we may have to take a look at, to what extent do these big tech engines and what is, we have to look at some of the antitrust situations here, monopoly power. We have to make sure the markets are working. If you can't effectively compete, if through technology and other things that certain companies or employers have things totally locked down where you really can't compete, and we don't have the entrepreneurial engine, we don't have the freedom and liberty engine. So what I would say is this. So in that light, people look and say, hey, things were great under President Trump. President Trump did something. President Trump was the one who actually fought the liberals, who actually fought, politically. Let me change the terminology. President Trump was the one who actually stood up to the left-wing media, who actually stood up to the left-wing politicians, who actually put policies in place that made things better. The stock market was up, unemployment was down, and everything. And now you're seeing the support. In fact, the support was just totally widespread across the board for President Trump over Governor DeSantis, except for, I think, college-educated, a very small amount of college-educated men, right? So if you look at women, minorities, blue-collar workers, people, everybody else is going for President Trump. And again, I'm just trying to explain the facts as it's explained in this poll. Peace, love, freedom, opportunity, liberty, equality for everyone, and we love everybody. And I'm not making any claims, casting any aspersions. So what's the rationale? So what are we talking about here? I don't see how you're going to move these numbers. That doesn't mean I'm saying, I'm not picking one side or another. I think those that have seen my videos and stuff over time know where I'm coming from. But I'm saying, like, you have a proven winner politically and policy-wise in President Trump. Who on the Republican side, a serious voice, can seriously dispute that? It's always, but the main tweets, but his time has passed, but and the lawsuits. It's all these other caveats, but it's never about the policies. But what I'm saying is right now is people want, particularly on the Republican side and the Republican primary voters, they want somebody who's going to very strongly stand up and get those policies done, who's going to stand up for the common people, if you will. And I kind of really don't like those terms anyway, but just, or as they say, the forgotten people, whatever, forgotten, it's, and I don't like that term either. I don't, forget all that. Let me revise and extend everything. The promise of America is the promise of liberty, freedom, opportunity, and equality for everybody. And we want a system that works for everybody, right? And so, more than ever, we have to talk to each other and come together and work together and be cool. People are tired of the politics, of the dirty tricks, the October surprises, this person's shamed and this and that, and the gotcha politics. People are just so tired of that. Why can't people go in there and just do a good job? If you believe your policies work, if you think all the cards, like just making up some hypothetical stuff, I'm going to have to go a little bit beyond third just to explain this. If you think that all the cars should be electric, then just say that and make that case, if that's what you think, right? Or vice versa, right? What's really going to work? And President Trump has actually done it. He's the first president in my lifetime, other than maybe, obviously, President Reagan did a lot of great things, but I think President Trump went well beyond that in many, many ways. In different times, different challenges. And so we haven't seen that from Governor DeSantis. We have to some extent. He's done great in Florida. But then now when you say that you're hanging out with, when you're endorsed by Jeb Bush and Karl Rove and Speaker Ryan, it starts to feel like a different vibe there. It starts to feel like, again, Senator Cruz, Senator Rubio, no disrespect to that. And props to both those senators for sort of politically rehabilitating themselves. They got bruised up pretty bad against President Trump. And you remember that race, and people how many people are telling you it was always going to be Jeb? In the end, it's going to be Jeb. He's the serious politician. And Governor Bush got crushed. Now, I expect Governor DeSantis to do much better than that, but there's been reports out there, and I don't know. This is the political gossip out there, but I just have to share it for the analysis. I don't know if it's true or not. I have no idea. But if you look at some of the really inside political stuff that, hey, Governor DeSantis doesn't really like to glad hand people and take the pictures and the selfies, and he doesn't really do a lot of Q&A, not a back and forth, maybe not as much of a retail politician. And I'm not super that doesn't necessarily bother me, although there is a political skill. If you look at someone let's take it away from these people. I mean, someone like Bill Clinton, just phenomenal retail and wholesale politician, just very, very skilled. Whatever you think about him, just a skilled politician, right? And when you're on the national stage, particularly when you get up close with in certain primary states like Iowa, New Hampshire, classically, you need those skills, and there's going to be some back and forth. There's going to be an interchange. There's going to be an exchange. You're going to have to get into the debate ring, if you will, with President Trump and voters and others, and there's going to be some scrutiny in there. But I think the main thing is, what are your policies going to be, and are you going to stand by them, and are those the policies that are going to make people's lives better? Not a soundbite, not a photo op. All the platitudes. People are right now. It's so things are real. I think the last 3 to 5 years, people are hey, if the policies and the leadership is right, it can be really good. If the policies and leadership is wrong, it can be horrifically bad. And that's why do you think Florida has taken in so many people from other states? Who are hey, we're not doing this anymore. Right? Or other countries and stuff like that, right? So I think, let's see here. I'm not even seeing this. Well, look, I mean, we had peace under Trump. We had the Abraham Accords. That's a huge thing. That's an enormous thing. He moved whatever you, again, this is a perfect example. President Trump moved the embassy to the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. Now, I'm not making any commentary whatsoever on the policy, and I know, different people have definitely different opinions on that. My wife is Israeli and stuff. He's also a U.S. citizen now. Thank you. Appreciate that. So dual citizen, and I know she's very proud of her, of both countries, of course. But wherever you stand, this is a perfect example. Wherever you stand on that, or whatever your opinion is on that, how many presidents have talked about that? I mean, for as long as I can remember, the U.S. presidents have talked about that. But President Trump did it. That's what I'm talking about. This isn't talking about stuff, whatever. It kind of reminds me, and I don't want to be a punk, Jesse Waters yesterday on his show had Senator Graham on. And they were talking about some stuff with the TikTok stuff and how maybe this bill was going way too far. And maybe, I think Jesse Waters called it the Patriot Act on steroids or something like that. And how it was maybe interfering with, and Senator Paul was on the floor blasting Senator Hawley of the bill, not so much personal, but just hey, this is unconstitutional. And so you had Jesse Waters blasting Senator Graham, who said and he was oh, and Senator Graham, I don't think I support that. And Jesse Waters it says here you're a co-sponsor of it. Oh, I got to find out. That's that's what I'm talking about. The policies and getting them in place really, really matter. Transparency really, really matters. And so Trump had a list of everything that things that he was going to do, and I think it was promises made, promises kept, or something like that on his website, and he did it. Maybe not everything, I can't remember, but a lot. And so I would close on this as we wind down. It's not. People remember that, voters remember that, and even if they can't go through every little thing here like I can off the top of my head, right? Instinctually they understand that, right? Like if I walk outside, I don't need to look at my phone and see exact temperature to know if it's hot or not. I know that it's hot. Right now in Florida, I walk outside, I know it's roughly in the 80s, it's roughly in the night. I know, you know what I mean? I don't need to look at my phone or have a thermometer to know what temperature it is. So I think that people know that President Trump can get it done. And I think at this point, people know that things need to be done. We've got issues with border, fentanyl, safety, school safety. I mean, I'm a parent. There's so many different things. And we can have a discussion, debate. And some of these issues are very complex and they're not just bumper stickers and sound bites. But more than anything, if we're going to win on the Republican side, we need to come together. I think that we should have I think we really need to think about, I don't want to sit here and make a policy pronouncement right now, but I think we need to think about, like, listen, whomever wants to run. Get in here and make your case, that's fine. I don't think anyone has a problem with that, right? I mean, candidates can say different things, but I think that's fine. The voters will decide. If I had to predict right now, I'm saying it's Trump versus Biden. I think that's like got to be the heavy favorite right now, because I think both of those, I don't see who really displaces those right now today. I don't think any Republican, I don't think any Republican should be, rooting for, and again, everyone's equal on the law. I understand that. Let the process work. I understand. But I mean, even Governor Cuomo was saying, like, look, this looks pretty coincidental. Looks pretty political, right? I think, how do I phrase this? Let me try to phrase this right. I think that a lot of voters on the Republican side are kind of skeptical of a lot of these cases. I mean, you saw the jury foreman on the Atlantic, we should know, regardless of what political ambitions you who you like, whom you support, you should not support something that's not that, justice, politics should not be involved in justice. How about that? Right? You know what I mean? That's what it is right there. And it's just something that feels very unseemly when we have all these legal things going on, this potentially, hypothetically possible lawfare going on against the leading candidate, the former president for the other side. Like, that's just, on the opposition party, like, we can't have that. The people have to be able to decide. We can't have people being disqualified, everything has to be done correctly, rightfully, lawfully, all that type of stuff. We have to have a straight up deal. People don't like the political whatever. And I'm not accusing or alleging anything. I'm saying that Governor Cuomo said something. I'm saying there's a lot of reporting out there. And if you are a major candidate, it doesn't matter if you're running against, first of all, you're not even announced yet, Governor DeSantis. Like, everyone's got to be full blast against that. Congressperson Jordan has talked about that. Congressperson Gates has talked about that. Mark Levine has talked about that. A lot of people, like, no way. Like, we cannot have the other side disqualifying our candidates and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We have to have a fair, Alan Dershowitz, Professor Emeritus from Harvard Law, has talked about that. I mean, whom has actually gone out and said that any of these cases against Trump are really strong? And he really, and again, after the Mar-a-Lago situation, what happened with the Corvette? What happened with and there's so many things going on there and talked about with President Biden, and there's a lot of stories out there with the family and stuff like that. And I don't want to go the back and forth and the whataboutism and all that type of stuff. Like, all of it should stop. Okay, so my daughter wants to get in the. We will do. How about that? We'll get you, and then we'll do your video. Okay, go work with mommy, and we'll do a separate video for Janera if she wants to do one. And people talk about crypto. So there's that. And listen, I'm all for campaigning. I'm all for spirited stuff, but I like to be respectful of people. It's kind of like what Reagan said, the happy warrior, you know what I mean? Like, politically, obviously. It's like, look, this is kind of where I'm at. We cannot have the other side of the media disqualifying our candidates, period, end of story, or consultants. And think about this. President Trump does his own thing, doesn't really use a lot of political consultants and stuff. So if you're a political consultant and you can't get in there President Trump's campaign, you need another campaign if that's your business, right? And there's big money involved in these things. And I'm not alleging anything or whatnot. And I can understand where, people, maybe from the Bush family are not the biggest fans of Trump. I'm not saying they are or they're not. It's very interesting too. Like, where's President George W. Bush? Where's he speaking on that? It's let the people decide. Have everybody run. Governor DeSantis, Awesome governor. Thank you, Governor DeSantis. I'm so glad you're there. You've done awesome. Your team, everything. We're really happy with you here in Florida. But that doesn't mean that we're going to pick you over President Trump. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know, And look, go. That's fine. To some extent, it is early. Go out there, make the case, do your thing. That's fine. But everybody should be against the media, the left wing, the Democrats, whatever, unfair, interfering, if you will, in our election. Like let the voters decide. The Democrats will pick let the same thing in there. Let the Democrats pick who they want to pick. And like Rush would talk about Operation Chaos and all this type of stuff with Secretary Clinton and stuff. It's like, look, let the Democrats pick who they're going to pick. Let the Republicans pick who they're going to pick. At the end of the day, the Democrats, and I'll applaud them, they do a phenomenal job. They come together. They support whomever the nominee is. We need to do that. We cannot have the Never Trump section or the Never DeSantis section or the right. We all got to come together. If anyone who tries to make the case that President Biden is better than President Trump is, I question their conservative credentials. How about that? I question their realistic appraisal of the current state of events right now. Okay. I question the commitment to the Constitution and liberty and all these types of stuff. This is serious stuff. We've got all kinds of stuff going on out there. We've got, different things with pandemic. We've got AI. We got all kinds of different stuff. Energy. We've got security. What's going on globally? There's a lot of global stuff going on. There's a lot of questions happening right now about supply chains. There's just so many things going on. But I don't think it's anything that we can't address and work out and do together and figure out. We can do this together. Likewise, we all need to come together as Americans. I've been saying this for a long time, and I may just do a shirt on it and everything like that. Like a 50% solution is not a 100% solution. I have no problem having a debate and a spirited debate. And I get it. Like AOC is going to have a different opinion than maybe Jim Jordan. That's fine, right? And we can have that debate. But we should all say, you know what? We're all Americans. We're all humans. We can agree to disagree, and we can learn from each other. I'm not right about everything. I'm wrong a lot, right? I'm right a lot. Yeah, I'm a super genius, but I'm wrong a lot. And I know what I don't know. And I'm always learning. And it's like just the other day, someone said something that, I was having a dinner and stuff like that. Oh, okay. I see that point. That's cool. I get it. And my wife will tell me stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see that. That's right. Or I just saw a YouTube video last night, and I saw it was kind of sad actually. I don't want to get too specific about it, but it was someone that lost their spouse just unexpectedly. It's just you never know. You never know. Let's try to make the world a better place. Let's try to live together. Let's try to love together. Let's try to enjoy our families, and let's try to. We're so much better together than. I just hate this. Like I get it. Like I'm super competitive, 4-time national champion, everything like that. But to me, I don't know what you're going to call it. I don't want to use the wrong name, and so I kind of like have to dig out my political theory and stuff like that. But I really believe in. It's not the technocratic, but it's not so much all about degrees and stuff like that. But I do believe that there is things change because technology changes, things like that. But I do think that there are better answers than others, right? And that there's I don't want to say it, but there's if you use the right analysis, you can get answers out there, if you will. And there are policies that are going to be better than others, right? And we need things that are going to be the best for society, favor the most people, not just the 1%, or not just I'm just tired of the groups. We are all in this together. We are all in this together. We gotta spread education, love, wealth, prosperity, opportunity, liberty, equality. That's what we need to do. We need to lean hard into that. And that takes all of us. A 50% solution is not a 100% solution. And you can vote for whomever you want. I get it. But at the end of the day, like we gotta make this work. We can't be like talking about elections 50 elections ago. Of course, learn the lessons, everything like that. But like we gotta deal with the now. And how do we make now and tomorrow better, right? And that's it. So I'm a little bit rambling a little bit. Let me throw a couple things out on here. And I'm not going to get too big into this, but I'll just throw this out here because I did say I was going to talk about the news stories. And look, there's some stories about the whole thing with DeSantis about the Disney thing, and like, did he get outmaneuvered? Quote, this is Business Insider, quote, Ron DeSantis' plan to take control of Disney's land backfired spectacularly because of a loophole, ... Well, in the agreement that may reduce his appointees to powerless functionaries. And this is by Lloyd Lee, and it was yesterday at 10:59 p.m. So, I mean, there's some questions right there. Again, if you're running on, and I'm not trying to make it, but that was that was one of the big issues for DeSantis, in my opinion. If you're running on competency and stuff like that, and obviously Governor DeSantis may want to address that. He also talked about Silicon Valley Bank. There was a discussion on that, and I think the quote was here. There's a video. This is by on Real Clear Politics. I will link to this. Quote, DeSantis, if Silicon Valley Bank were a bank for Midwest farmers, it would have never been bailed out, unquote. That's by Ian Schwartz. That's March 29, 2023. So now, that's where DeSantis is on that. And he had a bunch of other comments and stuff. So people are going to take different positions on different things. And, I think that was, as I said, I think that was a very tough issue, but this is, it kind of begs, there's so much tied up into that. And I talked about that before, and I don't want to drag that into here necessarily. But I think that, on balance, I think President Biden and the team probably did the right thing on that. And I said that before. They made, maybe the better choice out of a series of bad choices. If they would have let it fail and went along with the limits that were imposed, you could understand that, because that was the rules, right? As going into that. But then, like I said, I mean, you're basically, I mean, if we believe that there's national security issues and some global competition and competition between different systems, whether it's like, socialism, communism, or what, different capitalist company, I can't remember, in our system. I mean, do you want to lose 2, 5, 10 years of development and the next wave of development from, a lot of startups don't work, but some really do work. And do we want to lose all that R&D? Do we want to lose, I mean, Silicon Valley is very, very vital, very, very vital to us. That doesn't mean that it's like that, that they should get necessarily special treatment, but it is, you have to be real about the consideration. You don't want to cut off your nose and spite your face, right? On the same time, like, tech, maybe hasn't been super fair to conservatives or all Americans, and there's different concerns there. You have to unpack those different things. If you say, hey, tech needs to be better, we need to, make sure that they're not like punking out conservatives. We need that people have privacy, that, all these different things, data and everything like that. Those are different scenarios and questions. If you want to rail against ESG, if you think the ESG is not working, there's a lot of stuff out there. And I know the Republicans, passed a bill, and I think President Biden vetoed it. I know there's been some studies out there that ESG investing is not as efficient out there, and Silicon Valley Bank was sort of leaning into a lot of the left-wing stuff and ESG and stuff, and maybe you say that was some bad management and stuff. And look, the bondholders and definitely the shareholders got punished for that, right? I mean, in terms of they're not going to be backstopped. And at the same time, like, it's funny because a lot of people were saying, oh yeah, Silicon Valley. And listen, I have great fond memories of Silicon Valley Bank. Is a definite legend and very, very, very so important in that ecosystem. But what happened to all these people that were so into Silicon Valley Bank? Have they taken their money out? Like, money seems to be, and I think a lot of the middle-sized, medium, mid-tier banks, are having some potential issues. There's some questions there. Are people just going to put in their money into the big banks that are too big to fail banks, right? And we don't same idea is, do we really want heavy duty bank consolidation? So, do we only want 3 or 4 banks in America? I mean, so, and who's going to step up and take the place of Silicon Valley Bank? That yes, Silicon Valley Bank maybe had some higher risk stuff because of the nature of their clientele and the nature of the venture, some of the products that they did, but they service that community. And yes, it is higher risk, but it also is higher reward. And that's a space. Maybe a lot of people would argue that's a needed space to help make that ecosystem fun. There's a lot of people that I saw and on my LinkedIn posts that were saying, I got a lot of connections in venture and tech and Silicon Valley and academia and stuff like that. Like, hey, when everybody else said no, Silicon Valley Bank said yes. So I think we have to, those are important conversations. We have to be able to, we need innovation. We need to come together. There shouldn't be special rules, but we also have to be practical. These are not easy issues. And this is kind of goes back to the whole thing of, if you're running for president, you need to be ready to run for president. Sometimes you can learn a little bit as you go, and I get it, you can evolve. But as I said before, I think if Governor DeSantis wants to run, he absolutely should run. If anyone else should run, if there's anyone else who's going to challenge President Trump right now, absolutely it should be Governor DeSantis, no question. But I would hit the reset button. I would think about some things. I would take a pause. You could see some of these recent articles now that you could see with the media, if he is the nominee, believe me, the media is going to, whatever you think Trump's doing to you, believe me, the media is going to ratchet that up. And whatever Trump's doing now, believe me, there's going to be more. And President Trump had some comments you can see on Truth Social. I mean, it's what we think that I might try to pull that up real quick, but I think we know the comments there. But what I'm saying is it all needs to make sense. I don't see how Governor DeSantis wins now. But we do have a lot of time. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I think that you can't decry the process. This is the process. I don't see how Governor DeSantis wins because the name ID is too strong and the support's too strong for President Trump. If President Trump is not sidelined somehow by legal or whatever, which I don't see how that's going to happen. And he says even if he's indicted, he's going to keep like I don't see how that's going to happen. First of all, I don't see. I mean, why would Republican listen? I've said everything I've already said. I don't want to. Be careful what I want to say. You know what I mean? But it's politics shouldn't be injustice. That's all. And that's what I'm saying. The legal system should not be politicized. Number one. Number two is, we can't have either major candidate like the voters have to be able to decide these things, right? And we need to work together and consolidate. Whomever the nominee is going to be, we need to support that nominee. That's what I would say as a Republican, conservative, almost libertarian, right? And I think the Democrats do a better job of that. But also, whomever is going to be the president, whether it's President Biden or whomever on the Democrat side or the Republican side, we need to come together and we need to work together. And there needs to be more. And there was I saw something that was kind of cool. Senator Kennedy was questioning Secretary Mayorkas. And I didn't even read too much of it, but and there was, I think, a tough exchange there. But in the end, there, when Senator Kennedy was walking out, he kind of patted Mayorkas on the shoulder and shook his hand. And you know what? No matter what you think about anything, to me, that's super cool because that's just decency. We're all human beings. And I'd like to believe that most people are trying to do, the best they can and trying to do the right thing. Yeah, I'm sure there's some people that are whatever. I mean, a lot of, obviously there's self-interest out there, but I think that we have to find ways to collaborate together because at the end of the day, I believe we can grow the pie and there's a win-win. And like I said, I don't know what you want to call it. I want to call it positivist. I don't think I'm not going to get the name right, so I don't want to throw a name out there. But I believe that there are answers. I believe there are ways to study this. I believe there is data and evidence that you can gather and find the right policies that are going to work for the best people there. But ultimately, you believe in, part of it too is that you believe in people, that people should, and then someone else said this too, and I thought about this the other day. We're in an age now where there is more ability of self-sufficiency for people, right? So to the extent that you can be self-sufficient and stuff, the more self-sufficient we're able to be, the more that, okay, people should have the maximum amount of freedom, liberty, opportunity, and all these types of things that they can have. At the same time, you need a certain amount of government, and you have to have a civil society. And this is I can't get into all this right now. That's a longer conversation, but as people are able to do more, as you need government to do less, and people can do more, then there should be less government and more freedom and opportunity and liberty, for people. And we need to be able to, work together and all this. So let's just find ways to be cool and nice to people, and let's find ways to cooperate. And let's focus on the policies. Let's focus on what's going to advance you know what I mean? I don't want to sit here and just throw about platitudes out, but I hope I'm making some sense out there. right? It's not about the politics, it's about the policies. Of course, politics, we're going to have a campaign, and that's fine. I welcome it. I get it. But I think we're at a point now where there's so many things on the table, right? Digital currency, AI, genetic engineering, pandemic. There's so many things on the table. Electrification. Like, we just need to make sure that we can come together. I mean, there's like 1,000 leaders in tech, and Elon Musk signed this thing about AI, and like, hey, we need to come together and be able to like make the right decisions, right? And advance together and find ways to help each other out and lend a helping hand. And I do think that, as I said before, that and this is a very complex thing. I'm trying to think of how I can touch on this quickly and close. It's without getting too into it. You know, I think all sides have good points. Like, I like to learn everywhere, and I'll read lots and lots of different sources. I think that it is important to whether, you know, regardless of different particular specific things that you may or may not agree with or different proposals, I think that there's a lot to be said for making sure whether like okay, you can have your criticisms of woke and everything, and I do absolutely, and I don't want to say that's what I'm saying. I don't want to say let me put that to the side. Let me revise and extend that, because I don't. Anytime you get into, then it's going to become something else. I think that you can be absolutely locked on to principles, Constitution, freedom, opportunity, liberty, equality. You can be conservative, almost libertarian, whatever. But you can also say that it's a part of, to me, there's no contradiction. Absolutely, it's part of that freedom. You have to maximize inclusion. You have to maximize participation. You have to maximize, you want everybody to be seen, heard, and engaged in the process. You want everybody to be treated, to have the equal opportunity. You want to make sure that you could say, okay, we can let the market work, but you can also say that, listen, not everybody has the same opportunities as everybody, but we want to try to create opportunities for people. We want to try to give people a hand up. We want to try to mentor people. We want to try to give people education. The more we can spread the model of Silicon Valley around, the more we can have educational opportunity or levels, or maybe this is through the massively, the MMO kind of courses and stuff like that, where we can leverage the great institutions like a Berkeley, Stanford, Harvard, whatever, and more people have access to these things, the better it is. Like, we want to engage and empower people. We don't want to just have it work for the 0.001% or 0.1% or whatever like that. So this is part of what I've been working really hard and trying to fight to, again, metaphorically, while I've been trying to work hard, let's just revise and extend that. What I'm trying to work hard to do is, how do I download some of my stuff, some of my concepts, and how do I, put education out there? How do I empower people? How do I help people out? How do I give something back, right? How do I contribute here? And we all need to do that. And again, like, most of my family, a lot of my family are liberals, and I love them. Like, we got to come together. We got to stop we got to increase the heat, the light, and decrease the heat, right? So, all right. I hope that made some sense. I think it did. I think you get it. I touched on so many different things, but it all relates, because this is where we're at right now. So in this situation, to bring it all back together, in this situation, Republican voters are trying to understand, whomever gets in the game, whom do you trust to address these issues, get the right policies there, stand up for them, and implement them. And in that question, that basic question, I think you're going to have way more people say that they trust President Trump. But if Governor DeSantis can make his case, and he absolutely has every right to do that, because of all the other candidates, I think, right, that have been talked about right now, I think he's definitely the strong number two to make that case. But you have to understand that you're going to have to make the case. I think you have to realistically say that it's going to be an uphill challenge. And I think that you have to understand that you're going to have it's not going to be easy. Whomever the Republican nominee is going to be, first of all, to get the nomination is going to be, you're going to have to go through a serious, campaign. And whomever the nominee is going to have to be able to deal with a lot of heat from the media, and it's going to be a tough campaign. I do think that we're getting to a point, as I said, with 2023, it's going to be the year reality hits. I do think there's a very serious, there's a lot of things that could get really, really bad with the economy here. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, so politically, like, you think about where we're at now versus not even a year ago. Like you push this a year forward, a year and a quarter forward, it could be just like, and then where we, how's that going to look politically for the Democrats? I think Speaker McCarthy's doing a fantastic job, and it's not just Trump. That's what I'm saying. Like the idea that it's like this is a Tea Party redux, and if you just get rid of the Tea Party, we go back to normal. Like that's not going to happen. Like it's a different page. It's a different situation. Now someone may be able to beat President Trump, they may not, but I don't think it's going to work. But regardless, the politics and the policies are in a different spot. Whoever's thinking that if you just get rid of Trump, like it all goes back to where it was. I don't think that's it. So interesting questions. Russell Brand's out there. A lot of other people, a lot of young voices, a lot of different voices are out there. And I think that now people are seeing like, hey, there's a different way here, and this is very interesting. And we're seeing it globally. I'm seeing it from my. Here we go. Let's see. I don't know. I have no idea on that. I don't know enough about that. I'm not making any financial calls or anything like that, and I'm not giving even advice. Anything you do is at your own risk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But look, I've got people on my show's not even look, I've got people from all over the world checking this show out, and I don't even have the biggest show. You know what I mean? Like obviously a professional, whatever, and it's growing. And also live stream sponsored by Melon app, division of Logitech. We appreciate Melon. I'll have a link in the video description on YouTube. We appreciate them. They've been fantastic, in my opinion. And I'm giving a commentary out there. I'm doing my show, and we're talking business, we're talking politics. And so I didn't want to get too political in this. I wanted to give some analysis. Because if you're looking at, and I saw Amy Walters, I ran into her at Presidency 5, and she's super cool, in my opinion. She's real professional, was very generous of her time, giving me an interview and stuff. And I don't know. I could be wrong, but I would suspect she maybe, leans on the left, but she was totally professional, super cool, very nice, very hospitable. And again, as I say, I'm nobody. I just know a lot of things, know a lot of people. But I think that she was saying some things that I would agree with, and if I remember correctly. And look, let's find some ways to work this out. It's unfortunate that sometimes the more bombastic stuff, gets you audiences. There's things, like I said, if I was a sellout, I think I'd be rich and retired, but I'm not a sellout. I'm trying to do the right things. I'm not on a soapbox, and obviously when I do a show, like it's me, but there's an entertainment factor there, but being entertaining is different than I won't do certain things. I just won't do it. You know what I mean? There's just not where I'm going to be. I don't want to throw names out there as I'm not trying to punk anybody else out. But I think that, and to that extent, I can understand where people are like, President Trump, I wish he could, the tweets and stuff. But, he's a show person. He understands what he's doing. And look, everyone's got their own style. I'm not perfect. I'm not, I don't know. I don't want to say too much there, but I think that, I have no problem with entertainment. I have no problem with anything as long as it's coming from a good place. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like people that are like I don't know. I'm kind of rambling right now, so I'm going to wind it down. So I'm trying to say too many complex things. I'm trying to I'll throw them about 12 different topics that each take at least an hour on the table here. But I'm doing my best to give you a highlight. If you're looking at a primer of where it's at right now, I take the criticisms of Trump. Maybe this is the way I can tie it up. The criticisms of Trump, I think, are because I think people in general, myself included, are so tired of the hyper partisanship and the almost cartoonish us versus them silliness. Yeah. Oh, thank you, brother. You're great. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you out there. Appreciate that. And we just want to go back to our normal lives, people to spend time with our family, watch sports, whatever like that, and not have to worry about, oh my gosh, I put the wrong tweet out there. I did this. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to people, just the psychosis of the whole thing. People are sick of that. We want to have fun with our neighbors. We want to go to barbecue. We want to just okay, you vote. I don't care. I'm not even asking who you voted for. I don't care what kind of opinion. I don't care what your avatar, stop. At the same time, there's serious things to do. There's real stuff to do, and let's get it together. So let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Let's come together. It's not just a total kumbaya. I understand that. We're gonna have Let's have a positive way to engage. But it's okay. Like if you're in the political ring, then understand that, you're in the political ring, and that's all right too. So as long as the focus is on positive solutions and trying to move the ball forward and trying to do stuff. And I think you have to say with President Trump that the nicknames and all the stuff aside, it is that you can't tell me another president in the last 20, 30 years on the Republican side that has gotten more done. That we've all said, Supreme Court justice, I mean, on down the list. It's not even close. It's not even close. So, and even if it's like, okay, well, you know what? There's, that's the way President Trump is, and maybe he's not perfect, and maybe that's the negative with the positive. The positives are too strong because right now it's just too important. It's just too important. Everybody understands that there's so many things that are on the table that are important. And I always say, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic and it's the most important election ever. It's a pretty important election. It's a pretty important election. So that's where I'm at on it. That's where I think it is. I think, my nephew. Yeah, Matthew. He's great. Guy's great. Thanks, brother. I think it's Trump. I don't think that it changes. We'll see. It is early, but there's no clear rationale as to how that changes. The book launch, the speaking, it hasn't worked. But look, it's fine. Governor DeSantis, fantastic governor. I'm not saying one or the other, whatever. I'm not picking sides here. But I would say to Governor DeSantis, if you're from this idea that if you're endorsed by Jeb Bush, if you get the money from Karl Rove, that's all going to work. How much money did Jeb Bush have? How much money did Senator Rubio have? That money, especially now there's no way they're not going to cover Trump when he's running. He's up there. There's just no way. We've seen it. Look at the last month. Look at the last 2 weeks. It's not going to work, dude. You're going to have to engage. And if you can't engage one-on-one with Trump, forget it. I don't think there is no button to push. There's no endorsement to get. There's no there's no 3 or 4 or 5 people or a group of 12, whatever it is, hypothetically, I'm just totally that are going to decide that you're going to be president. No, dude, doesn't matter how many mega donors and this and that. Doesn't matter what, the billionaires like that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, of course, those are very important people and money and all that. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to make a case of why you're better than Trump. Okay, let me put it this way. It's simple. If I have a feeling as a voter that I'm going to get 95% plus of what I want if I'm a Republican or conservative with Trump, but I had to deal with some tweets, this, that, whatever, but I'm really confident that that's what I'm going to get versus, hey, maybe I won't have tweets, maybe things will be a little calm or whatever. Might be as good as Trump, might not. Again, you look at the expected value. What's the value times the probability of that value being delivered? That probability side of that equation for Governor DeSantis is a little bit of a question mark. It's a huge question mark in comparison to President Trump. Now, we here in Florida, okay, yeah, it's cool, and there's some things, but again, now you've got the news of Disney, some different things out there. Whereas with Trump, there is no question mark. And in fact, you can say that now we don't have Russiagate and all this, and he has a second term and he's learned, and I won't put people from the swamp whatever in the cabinet. Who thinks if you vote for Trump, who thinks that Trump presidency 2, if he gets that, it's going to be worse or better than presidency 1, right? Most people think it's going to be better. So that's where the expected value of Trump to a Republican voter is so much higher than Governor DeSantis. Because if you put President Trump's accomplishments versus Governor DeSantis' accomplishments, I'm sorry, but President Trump, I always now say, well, he had a national profile. Okay, fair enough. That's fair. I get it. And Governor DeSantis has done a great job as a governor. But what are the issues on the table right now? And again, it's really more of that probability. What you're going to get with President Trump. We know that President Trump can stand up to the left-wing media. We know President Trump can stand up to the Democrats. We know President Trump's going to put cabinet people in there that are going to get things done. We know President Trump's going to fight for the American economy and on trade and everything. We know all these things, right? Border, everything. We know all these things. So why would you take a risk as a voter? Like, if you believe that the issues are so important, who cares about the tweets? Right? It's like your grandma used to say, or sticks and stones and stuff. Like, dude, I mean, you're worried about tweets over jobs, tweets over fentanyl, tweets over the borders, tweets over the economy, tweets over safety. Like, what? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. So here's what I would say. President Trump, keep trying to improve. You see where people are criticizing you. Maybe you'll tune it, tweak it, do your thing, whatever like that. But at the end of the day, either side, people are looking at policies and results. Are you going to have the right policies and you're going to get them done? That's it, right? Governor DeSantis, if you're going to get in, great. I really believe you're going to get in. But I would do a reset, rethink of the campaign. You have to do it for the, it's not, campaign can't look like or feel like or sound like or like it's for the 1% or the mega donors. It's got to feel like it's for the people. And more than anything, you're going to have the right policies and you're going to implement those, right? Retail versus whatever. If you're more of a, whatever your personal style is, I think people can that's maybe not as super critical. It is important. But I think it's normally I wouldn't say that's the biggest deal, but I think that you have to give the impression, and I'm not saying that you don't believe this. This is like my political analysis, that you are for everybody and you are accessible, that you are a servant of the people, right? That they're representing the people, not just the powerful, right? That's the trick for DeSantis, that there's access, that there's transparency, and that the probability that you're going to get these things done. So, it from a Republican, conservative, libertarian standpoint, the risk is not Trump. The risk is not Trump, right? Trump's not the risk. The not Trump candidate is the risk from a policy standpoint, and from being able to withstand that stuff. So for Governor DeSantis to gain traction, he's got to have the right policies. He's got to have access and transparency and show that he's standing up for everybody. And he's got to show that he's going to be able to implement those things. And so now that's where the Disney story and some of these other stories, that may become more relevant in these things. But I think all in general, I take the criticism of Trump as a criticism. In some ways, it's criticism that we all feel like people are tired of the super partisanship and things have to ratchet down. People have to be cool and we have to love each other and help each other out. It's tough right now. It's tough right now. A lot of people are worried. I don't want to be personal. I saw this post on LinkedIn of this father who I think is repost, someone that lost their job. They have like a lot, big family and wives. I mean, it's just people are struggling out there. It's tough. It's tough. I saw this other thing of like, this subway thing where these kids beat up these autistic kids that like to ride trains. Like, what are we doing? What's going on? We need to it's not about anecdotes, but like everybody I think there's a feel we can do better and we need to do better. Let's do better. So, okay, that's where I'm at. I think that made sense. I think it does make sense, right? So anyone can run who wants to run, that's fine. But you're gonna have to make the case as to why your policies are the best. It's not who likes who, what you're, standing on the tippy toes like Jeb Bush or any of that, like all that stuff. What are your policies and what's the probability that you're actually going to get it done and implement it, right now? And then whomever wins, how do we come together, all together? I start hearing never Trump stuff. I start never DeSantis. Like, that's the wrong way to go. Like, let the voters decide. That's the nominee. We move forward. And then we see what it is. And whoever wins, we all have to figure out ways we can work together here and stuff. So that's where we're at. That's the analysis. That's my best analysis today. I hope that helps. I hope that makes some sense. And again, not nothing personal, not against anybody or anything like that. I'm just trying to give the right analysis right here because I've seen a lot of things out there that I think, I don't know if it's spin. Probably is. I mean, politics is almost always spin. But I think honestly, like it's just in talking to people. I'm talking to people that are smart, like VCs, like people that are executives and CEO, like people like I don't think are, in my opinion, they didn't have the full. They could have used maybe a little bit more analysis on this, and I'm hopeful that provided some right there, the way to look at it. There is nobody can articulate other than, oh, Trump's going to be indicted, how that work out, right? No one can articulate a reason why Trump loses right now, and a credible case. Now, sure, weeks of lifetime in politics, sure, we're a long ways from election, but when someone is as established and a name ID as strong as Trump and has a record as president, those numbers are not going to move so much. So, in my opinion. So, anyway, that's where I'm at right now. You tell me what you think. Look forward to the comments. Really appreciate the people out there from Aruba, Lithuania, everybody out there. Everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Thanks so much. I'm John D. Valero. Have a good time. We may do another video with Janair, but I'm probably going to wrap up, and I may not be back on the air for until later in the weekend. So if I don't do a quick video, then I'll see you guys probably later in the weekend. All right? Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.